the levels are looking good, which is wonderful. At what point did your doctor then say, okay, we're going to need to talk about a stem cell transplant, and here's, how we're going to go about it?
Well, he started dropping things shortly after we got in out of the hospital about the stem cell transplant because they have such a it has such a better result and a better quality of life for those that have them. And so he started talking about that pretty quickly into treatment. And um, and then by that time, I really liked my doctor. I had a really good relationship with him, which I think is really important. I have to just say, I trust my doctor. And because I had started feeling so much better, that helps with that trust. And so I continued it's like, I don't really want to go to a new doctor. I don't want to have to do anything different. And so at that point, it was just like, because, that he's like, now, if you want to get another opinion or anything like that. But as I watched my myeloma groups on Facebook and had done my own research about myeloma, he was doing things that I would do anywhere except I had that relationship with my doctor. And so for me, that's really important, is to have a good relationship with the people that you're working closely with. And so I wanted to keep that relationship. And so by the end of January, we made the decision that we were going to do the stem cell transplant, or I was going to do the stem cell transplant.
And before we go there, really quickly, this point is really important about the good relationship with your doctor and the rapport that you build. But for maybe doctors and patients too who are watching this, what does that mean? The good relationship. What goes into that?
Um, for my husband and I, we kind of build a friendship with them, I guess. So we go in there, and not that they know everything about our family or we know about their family, but there is a little bit of just that friendship there. And then I'm a list maker, so I always have a list of questions for him, and he's always very patient with me when I ask him the questions, and he really just takes the time to answer those questions. And even if I feel like I've asked something stupid, he's still okay with that, because I have no clue on what any of this is. It's all a new journey for me. And he's maybe dealt with hundreds of patients where there's only one me. And
Yeah.
and then also just being appreciative to their care. I don't know, that goes a long way in relationships, is we're appreciative to his knowledge and the care that he's given, and then the care that the rest of the staff has given us there. So that's what it means to me.
You want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, it's Dr. Gregory Gerstner, and he's at the Illinois Valley Cancer Center in both Peru and Peoria.
See, we like to give, when people have good experiences, I think it's worth, giving them that little, public, hey, thank you. So thank you for sharing that, because that's really important. It sounds like you had two really important components. You had the friendship, the really good rapport, and you were like, he's doing the right things to take care of me on the medical side.
Yeah.
And then, so in January of this year is the stem cell transplant process. It's the testing. You're finishing up your chemo. I know you've got Neupogen shots that are part of this too to prepare. Can you describe, just sort of summarize the process of the transplant for people who are about to go through one?
Yeah, sure. So usually they do a bunch of testing, pre-testing, and that involves your heart, your lungs, your breathing, x-rays, EKGs, all of that. You do all of the pre-testing. You also see a psychologist too, because they want to make sure that you're in a good mental place going into the transplant also. So I had all of that pre-testing done. And then after the pre-testing, as soon as you're done with your cycles of chemo that they give you, which I went through, I believe I went through 5 cycles altogether, they go ahead and prepare you for the Neupogen. And so, which is what that does is it makes all of your stem cells grow. And then they give you a shot called Mosabile, and that Mosabile brings them up to the blood so that they can just take it out like kidney dialysis is kind of what it's like. And so started those shots, and then once and then they give you a little bit of your body a little bit of a break after you've had the Neupogen shots and the Mobazil and your collection. Your doctor knows about how many stem cells they want for that collection, and they're able to be able to count all those cells and let you know. And that's a series of days that you go. I went from Sunday to Thursday for my collection. And then after collection, you get a little bit of a break, and then you go in and you're admitted to the hospital. And the first, and then you're the first 2 days you're in the hospital, you have the melaphan for the stem cell. And then usually the third day, which they call it day 0, is when they give you your stem cells back.
Thank you for running through all of that. I know there's so many terminology, different like words. So the chemo you had was melphalan, right? That's right. And you had, okay. And I know eventually you would have hair loss too. I know with all the sort of intense chemo. Anything else you want to say about the stem cell transplant process? It's autologous for you because it was your own stem cells. How was the recovery of it? I mean, it seems like everything was pretty uneventful in a good way.
Yes. Yeah, the recovery was, I was pretty fortunate. I was only in the hospital about 19 days altogether. And then I came home to recover, and that was pretty uneventful too. I had a few days where one time I had to go in and I had to get some fluids because I was a little bit dehydrated. That was probably the most, as I always felt like I was dehydrated. And that was probably the hardest part besides the fatigue. And then, you do have muscle aches. You do have some side effects from that melphan chemo. That's pretty hard on your body for sure. Not only do you get the hair loss, but you also have a lot of aches and pains and digestive issues. And that are, it's just really rough. And I still had some of those in coming home. And I probably had those all in all 2 to 3 weeks after I got home. I had the symptoms from the chemo that I experienced.
Melphalan. And so you talked about aches, pains, and digestive issues. Is there anything more you can describe with those in terms of what helped? Did anything help you minimize or prevent them?
They prescribed nausea medications for the nausea, and they and for the diarrhea, and those I took them whenever I needed them, and it was a great help. And so I definitely recommend those. And then also just trying to, because you didn't feel like eating, just trying to find food that you could eat that was easy and that tasted good. I wouldn't be too picky about what I ate. I wasn't trying to be too healthy, even though I did try to keep a lot of protein. And I also did a lot of protein shakes too. That definitely helped a lot during that time.
Helped with just your energy and just getting food calories in, right?
Yeah, getting calories in, because without the calories you can't heal. Yeah. And so you need those calories so that you can heal, and then you'll have more energy. And so, and then I also got some electrolytes, powdered electrolytes that I could put in water.
Right.
And that was kind of a game changer for me. Because without having the IV, to be able to have that, they call it liquid hydration. Oh yeah, liquid. I think that's what they call it, liquid hydration. And that really helped me. And I still take some of that about every other day. And that helps me have the energy that I need.
See, so the transplant was May 5th,
Mhm.
right? So June, July. So it's, I mean, we're approaching 3 months
Mhm.
since the actual transplant. And so you're saying you're still dealing with some fatigue and energy, and you
Mhm.
still need this liquid
Yep.
hydration.
Yep. I'm still dealing with that. And I think my expectations were that I was going to bounce back right away. Um, and I haven't. um, and so that part is hard. And I still have not returned back to work either. So I'm hoping to be able to return back to work by December, but I will be almost off of work for a whole year. Because I think I've been off since I went into the hospital. Um, I went on family FMLA um, right after I
Yeah.
was, yeah, because I didn't know how treatments were going to be and
Right.
and all of that. And actually, at the time, I couldn't drive. I mean, it was just there. I was just, like I said, I had been very, very ill for several months. So it, I was just not able to go. I was not functioning.
No, I know. And I want to dive into that in our last segment too, because that's super important. I do want to cover this hair loss situation just
Mhm.
because with a lot of different people, they immediately think about that. And, how did you approach it? How did it impact you? Anything you want to share with people about that?
Yeah, that was the hardest part, I think. It was very, very difficult when they told me that I was going to lose my hair. Um, you know, I think sometimes it's maybe your safety net or your security blanket. And so I was just like, when I was first diagnosed, and I don't think I mentioned this, it's like, well, if I have to go through this and if I have to do this, I'm at least going to do it with dignity and grace. And so I started thinking of ways that I could maybe cope with what I was going to go through in a positive way. And so I just simply decided I'm going to go shorter and shorter and shorter. And so that's basically what I decided to do is every month I would go in and I'd get a haircut and then I would post it on social media and then it was just your families and friends giving you that affirmation that, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And it's going to be short lived. And so that's what I did I think I did that in December, January, February, and March. And then finally we decided to go ahead and do the big shave. Alrighty. You got it. I got it. You got this. Your head's gonna look even better than that. Yeah, and I actually had a group of men, my husband, my dad, my son-in-law, and both my son-in-laws actually did it, and my nephew and my one of my grandsons decided to go ahead and do a shave for me all on the same day. And then it was just we kind of made it more of a celebration instead of a loss. And for us, that was how I was able to cope. And at that point, it was just such a relief to know that I had so much support. And then I would post it on social media, and there were even a few people that would message me and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know today I shaved my head for you. And then they would send me a picture. And then one of my classmates that I went to school with, he said, I've been struggling for years because I've had to shave my head because I was half bald and it would come in funny. And he goes, but today I'm shaving it for you. And so just the community support that I had while I went through that process made it really, yeah, it was just a special thing for me. And I'm really grateful that I did that. And right now I've chosen not to have a wig. I use headbands. I use, because it's so hot here for summer that I just didn't want to deal with the wig. And my hair is finally starting to come back. And I just decided I was just going to embrace it and know that it's just a season. It's just a season. And you'll get through that season and it's hair, it'll grow back.
Got emotional. You told me about your family members doing the shave with you on that day. Like, I mean, I hear a lot of things that touched me so, so deeply. I'm so happy that you have had that love
Mhm.
and care around you because it can be very difficult. You look
Thank you.
beautiful. I really mean that. And I'm so glad you're talking about the realistic, nature of sometimes wearing a wig. I think it works for some people. I'll share that for me. I hated it. I actually ended up spending quite a bit of money on a human hair wig because I thought, oh, this is an investment. It'll make me feel more like a regular person, normal or whatever. And I wore it maybe three
Mhm.
times. It was, itchy and hot and all these things. And so it's great to see like you sporting this because it looks so
Mhm.
good on you. So it's headbands for you. Do you have any other sort of tips for people who, are looking for ways of how to
Um,
style themselves?
I just found some makeup that I liked. I probably spend a lot more money on makeup than I ever did. But I do that, and then I do headbands, and then I do ball caps or just some cute hats that I have found. Um, but for me, that's what's worked. In the winter, I know I'll do more beanies and I'll do heavier hats, because my hair grows pretty slow. As you know, I'm almost at 3 months and I'm just starting to get the peekaboos. It's not growing very fast. But, just find something that makes you feel good. Like I said, I wanted to have grace and dignity. So it's like I try to make sure that I get up every day. I get my shower in. I get myself ready for the day just like I was going to go to work, um, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel normal when I'm doing normal things. And so I just wanted to do that. And so I encourage people that, yeah, you know what? It does stink. Cancer stinks all the way around. But I think the bottom line is sometimes we have to embrace the hard to get through it. And it makes it a lot easier to go through it.
Oh, that was so beautifully said, Marty. Thank you so much.